All right, so today we have to talk about some exciting new Switch 2 reports, specifically on the assembly side of things, because while there's been a lot of debate and speculation on whether or not this console is currently in mass production and or if it's just kind of being half produced, work in progress inventory means certain components are being put together, but it's not necessarily a finalized retail product ready to ship. And the reason why a lot of Nintendo fans care about if this thing is in mass assembly or if it's just the components are being produced for it and kind of getting in the same warehouse for potential mass assembly is, well, when mass assembly starts to happen, that is typically, and not always, and it's not a guarantee, but typically when we will start to see some of those factory worker leaks pop up online where cell phone pictures appear and potentially reveal the actual finalized look of the retail product, maybe even before Nintendo reveals this thing, because we've heard from Furukawa himself that the way they're planning on combating scalping this time around is just by flooding the market with trying to meet consumer demand day one, and we've also seen a lot of reports with shipping data to back this up. But now we have one of Nintendo's biggest partners, known as Foxconn, who does assemble these consoles directly, reporting some very interesting numbers that probably suggest that they are already in the process of sending finalized units to Nintendo in large bulk quantities as we speak, which would mean that potentially these leaks are around the corner from happening, or that something like an earlier launch than some of us are anticipating may still be on the table. We have that newest rumor that comes from apparently 6 different development studios that corroborated to a French outlet that they are expecting a June or July launch. And in addition to that, of course, we have the most recent Nate the Hate rumor, which is him saying that essentially February time, and this is more speculation, late January, early February, we'll get the reveal of the console, and then we will ultimately see a May event that's kind of more of that blowout January style presentation that we saw for the Switch 1, and then finally see the console launch in that June time window. But then we also have a individual who leaked a lot of accurate information about the last Nintendo Direct, and even apparently some announcements before that, that put out that rumor of a January reveal and a March launch. So who knows what Nintendo will ultimately do, but we got to dive into all this data. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And with that, we have to hop over to Nintendo Universo, where they do have a detailed written up article around this, and it is being machine translated. Just keep in mind for the purposes of going over all of this information. Nintendo Switch 2 Foxconn Tech's financial results suggest that mass assembly of the new console has already started. Nintendo would have already received ready-made units of the Nintendo Switch successor in its warehouses. In a series of financial results released by Foxconn Tech involving its November operating income and found by user FWD-BWD on the Family Boards forum, it was reported that more than 11.4 billion NTD, or new Taiwan dollar, was raised in the period. This is the highest monthly revenue since October 2021, an increase of 74% and a gigantic growth of 223% year on year. Since the company has not anticipated any revenue increase for other lines of business, it is assumed that this exponential increase in revenue is the result of the start of mass assembly of the Nintendo Switch 2. FWD-BWD also noticed something interesting in the financial report published by Foxconn Tech, where according to the International Financial Reporting Standards followed by the company, revenue is recognized when control of the asset is transferred to the client. For Foxconn, this means that 1, revenue is recognized when products are delivered to the customer. 2, at this point, the customer has full control over the price and sales channel of the products. And 3, delivery is considered complete when products are shipped to the location specified by the customer. In other words, Foxconn records the sale revenue as soon as the products leave its premises and are received by the customer under the condition that there are no more outstanding obligations that could prevent the customer from accepting the products. With this, it can be concluded that at least in November, Nintendo has already received dozens, hundreds, and even thousands of units of the Nintendo Switch 2 completely assembled and ready for sale, that is already packaged and waiting in warehouses to be moved to their end customers such as retailers. And to just kind of show you a graph and the huge jump in operating revenue straight from their own financial results, you can see why this is definitely a noticeable increase when they're not telling any of their investors that they're expecting this kind of increase from any other part of their business. And we know that they are going to be assembling a console like the Switch 2, and then you have this massive spike up of 223% year over year. That is why it is being believed that this is likely tied to Switch 2 production, and specifically when they generate that revenue, which was the big outline in the article. When they can actually go on record and report it is when it is sent to their customer. That's when they can put it on their books as a finalized transaction, if you will. So the idea being here is that if these are the kind of revenue numbers that Foxconn is currently reporting, and Nintendo is their partner, and they're making Switch 2, and you have this massive spike up, Nintendo has already received a large number of consoles fully assembled and ready for sale from Foxconn, which is what they would do. So again, while this doesn't give us any clarity in when Nintendo decides to reveal and launch this console, it does at least add to the evidence and idea that this is not going to be a late 2025 console launch like some fans are worried about. I would be worried about personally if we're waiting till holiday season 2025 to play this console, when, you know, just look at the performance of the current Switch games. We are at a point where new hardware is needed. As of March 2025, it will have been 8 full years. So, you know, many people are ready for an upgrade. I think Nintendo will handle this all in due time, but just cool to see yet another piece of evidence that Nintendo's ramping the production of this console up, and that means that we're going to be close to a reveal and an ultimate launch date that we learn about it. Not to mention that this might add just a little bit more credence to that one Foxconn employee rumor that we saw from a while back, where apparently on a Chinese forum, somebody had uploaded a picture of their Foxconn badge ID, and they were claiming that they were assembling the console and the back of it showed a Switch logo and a big 2 right next to it, you know, kind of leaking the name Switch 2, which I still am kind of leaning towards Nintendo maybe doing a straight up numbered console sequel for the first time. Since Switch is still the function of this console and it's going to be a Switch, I think Switch is in the name. Nintendo Switch Online is a service that's rolling forward for sure for the next gen console, because President Furukawa confirmed that himself, and it just seems like the unprecedented momentum and lifespan of this console, Nintendo doesn't want to mess it up too bad. And, you know, the same way that we saw the DS as a vastly successful handheld console, and then we turn around and see a 3DS launch from Nintendo with that DS still being in the name because the function is still a dual screen console, I think we're going to see something similar this time around, and Switch 2 could maybe make the most sense, even though I'm still holding out some kind of glimmer of hope for Super Switch. But it does seem like Switch 2 could indeed be the name, and that leak from a Foxconn employee could have been proven just a little bit more likely to be true, now that we're seeing Foxconn actually going on record with their financial results backing up the idea that production and shipment to Nintendo is already happening for this hardware. So let me know in the comments down below what you make of all of these Switch 2 reports as of late. Do you think we're right around the corner from learning about this console from Nintendo as soon as something like January? Do you think we might still be wondering where this thing is at all the way into February and or March? And if you had to pick a month that makes the most sense in your opinion for Nintendo to launch the hardware next year, what month would that be? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.